So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sharon Whiteman, and I'm part of the team at the Lyme Disease Association of Australia. And I'm very excited today to be partnering with Chris Wick. This is our second time together, and I was very grateful and inspired after our first interview, which, if you're learning about this for the first time, you can go back to our YouTube channel or just check in at the LDA and we can provide you a link. So, Chris, he is a natural health practitioner and Lyme disease survivor whose personal healing journey led him to develop a unique homeopathic protocol for Lyme recovery. After nearly losing his life to Lyme disease in 2009 and being told there was no cure, Chris began searching for answers beyond conventional medicine and management approaches. On drawing on his background in natural health, he discovered homeopathy and used the principles from the homeopathic treatment of Lyme disease to achieve full recovery within weeks, a result later confirmed through testing. Now, I think we'd all want that book, but we've got Chris. Since then, Chris has dedicated over 15 years to helping others overcome Lyme disease using homeopathic methods, with nearly 200 full recoveries reported. He continues to advocate for broader awareness and clinical exploration of homeopathy's potential in Lyme treatment, emphasizing that it's totally accessible, it's non-invasive, and it's an effective and safe healing approach. So, Chris, thank you so very much for making it's so generous of you to make your time available to us in Australia. I know there's only a few of us here now. If you're listening to the recording, the link didn't work for many people, but we're really grateful that we'll have this recording for you down the track, and hopefully we'll intuit all your questions you might have. So, Chris, welcome and thank you very much. Oh, you're muted. You'll have to unmute. Here, I'll give you the message. There you go.
Very glad to be here and nice to meet everybody. One of the main reasons I'm here is that ever since I discovered that homeopathy was a really good pathway to get rid of Lyme infection, I have been trying to spread the word and tell people about it. And the closed-mindedness I've encountered everywhere almost is the reason I'm here is because I actually found someone that said, we're interested. I'd like to talk to you more about that. But I had to shop the planet to find an open-minded to find an open mind. And I'm
Mm.
not joking. It's pretty tough. But here we are. And
Well, I'll just interrupt for a sec because Chris and I both talked about persistence, and and that's why I'm here, because we haven't found a solution for all of us, and persistence is the only way. There's no giving up, is there, Chris? And so I'm really, I think it's people that will stand up is what the world needs right now, and who will speak out
mhm.
even if it's not popular yet, and who have the courage to question and doubt and challenge. And the other thing is that what brought came to mind when you're just talking is that the current accepted pathways of treatment for Lyme disease, well, there's so many pioneers and I'm so grateful for them. It's a pretty entrenched pathway, right? And homeopathy is so safe. And I think it should be part of the big picture. And well, let's start with your story. It was the whole picture for you, wasn't it?
Yes. I tried many of the things, many of the treatments, and the list of them is long, and I tried about three-quarters of them. I didn't do any hyperbaric dives. I didn't do any bee venom. Um, but and I did never went down the antibiotic road. That was next, but I didn't do that. But I tried all the other stuff. I drank 5 gallons of colloidal silver, 3 8-ounce glasses a day. I did I did a full cardboard box full of herbs and supplements every month for months, and nothing I tried moved the needle at all. I just kept going further and further downhill. And then when I pressed my quote Lyme literate doctor on why I wasn't getting any better, doing all this treatment stuff, he finally broke down and he said, Chris, I'm going to be honest with you. And I go, okay, that sounds great. And he said, I can't get you over Lyme disease. And he said, you're not going to get over it. It's lifetime. It's a life sentence. And the best you can hope for is to manage it. And I said, well, what do you mean by manage it exactly? And he said, well, remember that last cardboard box you walked out with, full of supplements and oils, essential oils and junk. He goes, you're going to have to do that every 6 months, somewhere between 6 and 9 months. You're going to have to do that again. And then we're going to have to introduce oral antibiotics, IV antibiotics, and we're going to have to hammer the Lyme to the point where your immune system can see some recovery, and it'll buy you some time of feeling halfway okay for a while. And then rinse and repeat. That's your life. And I just went, that's not going to be my life. I don't know. I got to get over this. I got living to do. I can't be. Well, the Babesia infection that I had, which is one of my co-infections, um, it required me to sleep 18 hours a day. That was a minimum, and it wasn't optional. It was a requirement, and that is, I'd say, of all the things that I experienced with Lyme disease, that's one of the oddities about it, and it's almost something like I miss because the depth of sleep that I got when I had Babesia was so good and so long and deep. It was like, man, the best sleep you could ever imagine. But it was all I did, so it wasn't much future in it. But anyway, so once he told me that life sentence, then I went home and I scoured. I'm a research oriented personality, and so I hopped on my computer and I scoured the World Wide Web. I left no stone unturned, and I read about every single treatment that's under the sun that people are using around the planet today, and they were all interesting stories, and but there was always something missing in the story, the happy ending. Nobody said at the end of the story, oh, and by the way, I'm better now, and I've been better for 5 years. I've never had a relapse, and I'm over Lyme. That was always missing, strangely. And I caught it. I just kept noticing that as I read about all these different treatments, that was always the missing piece. I did read about all the adverse effects that people experienced. Um, one of the Lymies I worked with, in my mind, put the antibiotic question to rest. And antibiotics, like we've talked about, seem to be a go-to, the first thing that people think about. And if you get bit by a tick and you go to your doctor here in the US, they put you on 30 days of doxycycline and tell you to go home. Um, the antibiotic question was settled for me by one of the very early on Lymies that I helped. And I heard about this person, and somebody gave me his phone number, and I talked to him, and he explained to me that 2 days from the time that I contacted him, he was jumping on an airplane and flying to Kansas City, and he was enrolled in a clinic there and had an apartment across the street, and every day for 6 months, 7 days a week, he would walk across the street, hook up to his IV port, built-in IV port, right, and plug into a IV bag. And they did rotations. So they would do minocycline one day, doxycycline the next day, amoxicillin the next day, and they for 6 months straight, 7 days a week. When he told me he was going to do that, I begged him to just put it off for 2 weeks. Give me a couple weeks. That's all I asked. And I said, if I can't get you out of this, then go to Kansas City. But just take a little bit of time. And he said, Chris, he goes, I appreciate it. He goes, but I've paid the $100,000 for the treatment. I've watched the testimonial videos. I am in my heart of hearts convinced that this treatment is going to resolve my Lyme. I go, okay, fine. So he jumps on his plane. He disappeared, and I didn't even. He disappeared out of my mind too. I just, just didn't think about it again. And so 6 months goes by, and I'm busy with life, and my phone rings, and it's him. And I answer it, and I go, "Hey, Eric, how you doing?" I could hear a jet engine running in the background. He called me from the tarmac. Okay. And he said, Chris, I did this treatment. It didn't work. Can I come see you tomorrow morning? And I go, yes. So here was a person that was a 25-year chronic Lyme invalid, couchbound, absolutely unable to do anything productive in life. I started in on him, giving him some homeopathics, and some time went by, week and a half, something like that, maybe 2 weeks. And he called me later in the day and he goes, guess what I did today? And I said, well, I have no idea, Eric. What did you do today? And he said, well, I jumped up off the couch and I fired up my truck, cooked up my trailer, my chainsaw, my splitting maul. I headed out into the forest and I cut and split and loaded and delivered a cord of firewood today. So imagine,
Mm.
that was an indicator, obviously, right? And I
Yeah.
said, feeling better, are we? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I'm feeling a lot better. Um, we continued to do some work. He had some issue. And once we got through the Lyme treatment, he still had something going on. And I quizzed him on it. And I said, okay, Eric, when you were doing diagnostic work, what viruses showed up during that testing? And it was human parvovirus.
Mm.
And I said, okay, well, let me get you the treatment for that. I'll get that. Let's do it. Let's do the treatment for it. So he did that, and that eliminated the last of his symptoms, which were abdominal, swollen joints, joint pain, stiffness, that kind of thing, that mixed right in there with Lyme symptoms. But
Yeah.
it turned out that was a virus human parvo. So once we got rid of that, then he went to work for the Forest Service wildland firefighting as a faller. And fallers, what they do is they carry a chainsaw and a pack, and they go out into the Northern California, Oregon, big mountains out there and fight wildfires. It's the steepest terrain, some of the steepest terrain on the planet, and it's usually 100 plus degrees. Well, he was doing that kind of work after getting over Lyme at age 60, just
Wow.
to give you a little context. So anyway, yeah, I just kept going from one person to the next. Every time I would get somebody over Lyme, they seemed to know 8 other people that had it, and I started working with them. And then it got to the point where there was 3 alternative medical clinics in the valley that I lived in. And they all started referring all of their Lyme patients to me. And I just, one by one, just put them through some homeopathic treatment, and they were over it and went on with healthy, happy life.
Mm.
And
Can we
then,
back up a little bit, Chris? I just want to ask,
sure.
why homeopathics? What inspired and how did you, out of making, remember you're looking through all the data, what made you choose homeopathic?
What made me think of homeopathy as a potential pathway for me was looking at researching all the other treatments and not finding the C word involved.
Here.
The people weren't getting
Yeah.
cured.
Mm.
So to me, it looked like just a whole bunch of dead ends. And because I had already tried so many of them myself and ended up in a dead end, I was pretty much convinced that maybe that doctor was right. That
Mm.
this is a life sentence, and this is my life such that it is. So I was sitting at home, and I was really, this is at the point where I just done close to almost 3 weeks of solid research, looking, turning over every rock, looking for a cure, right? And not having any luck. And I was, at that point, I was at kind of rock bottom. I was very depressed about it because I really was beginning to believe that maybe there was no way out, that this was it, you know. Anyway, it was a very depressing thought, to say the least. So I was sitting there in my chair, and it was an intuitive message. It was like somebody standing behind me and just talking to me. And believe it or not, the intuitive message was, Chris, get up out of your chair, go to your computer and type in the homeopathic treatment of Lyme disease. I'm not kidding you. Okay. I'd never considered homeopathy as a pathway to treat Lyme disease. Even with my natural health background, it just didn't occur to me for some reason. I don't know why. But so I dutifully got up out of my chair, went to my computer, typed in the words exactly as I was given them, and it led me to a website that was selling a book by exactly that title.
Wow.
And I immediately ordered it, and it's not a self-help guide. So if a person got the book, it isn't a way for someone to buy the book and get over Lyme. That wasn't the purpose of it. But what the book was really about is the first half was homeopathic theory, kind of how homeopathy works and why it works. But the second half of the book was really the pertinent part for me because it had 20 different patient records in it, like doctor's office patient records. And the patient records read similar, they're all kind of similar. And this is, the book was written in German initially, and then translated. So the stories were all similar. German citizen gets sick, unknown, some, disease, whatever, right? Goes to doctor. Doctor does diagnostic work, determines that they have Lyme, which is epidemic over there, as you know. So doctor determines that they are infected with Lyme disease, starts and puts them on a custom homeopathic protocol based on their personality and their symptoms and things like that, and sends them off with their homeopathic medicines, sends them home. And then they come back a couple of weeks later and they're all better. They feel great. They've got their life and health back. The doctor schedules annual follow-up appointments for the next 5 years, and just to check for relapse. None was ever recorded in any of those patients. And after I read that, it was hallelujah. I think I may have found my way out of prison. So I started, and I was still fairly novice at homeopathy, and certainly didn't know much about Lyme disease either. That was new to me too. But I just started, going through the work that you do to use homeopathics and trying some different remedies. And within 2.5 weeks, I too was over Lyme disease. And um, I ended up doing a blood test later by a company down in Texas called Spirostat, and it's a PCR level test, super accurate, and and expensive. So, but
Of
I
course.
went, I did it, and they sent me an email back and said 0 organisms detected. So, and then as time went on, it was just kind of one limey after another, and a lot of them were curious after, even though they felt wonderful again, they were curious enough to go back to their doctor and say, "Let's do a lab. I want to check." And of the people that did the subsequent blood work, none of them came back positive. They were done. So that's where we sit today. I mean, I don't mean to sound brash, arrogant, or anything like that. It's far from the truth. But with this global epidemic we have, I firmly believe in my heart of hearts that the solution to it is homeopathy. That's the that is the way that people are going to get over Lyme disease on this planet at this point, unless we did come up with something that we don't
Magical.
have yet.
Yeah.
Something we just don't even know about yet. But because of its complexity and its multiple co-infections and cystic formations and biofilms and blood-brain barriers and antibiotic resistance and da 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 da,
Mm.
it's elusive. And
Yeah.
people think in aliens in terms of these big creatures and stuff. Well, how does an organism that gets in our blood get the ability to turn our immune systems off?
Yeah.
How is that possible? You know,
Yeah.
but Lyme has a way of doing that.
Leaves more
Uh,
questions than answers, Lyme, doesn't it?
mhm.
So you okay if we transition into some of the questions that we've had sent in and that I
I'd love
had?
to.
Okay.
Sure.
So you've explained why homeopathics. And what about if, I mean, I'm probably projecting this. This is my story. But what if your brain doesn't work like it used to? And like I find homeopathy quite complex. And is it simple for someone that doesn't have full cognitive function to be able to integrate a protocol?
Yes, it's the simplest thing in the world, really. It's the protocol is 4 components, and 2 of them are pellets, and 2 of them are liquid. And so people have the ability to take the pellet form and put about 3 to 5 pellets under their tongue of each of those at the same time. And then even they can even do the liquid ones right on top of the pellets and do both of those at the same time. And you do that 3 times a day for 7 days, and then you quit and you're done.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Homeopathy is about correcting the organism, the person, and addressing systems that are out of balance. Is it also possible to direct, like you said, pathogens directly? So does it matter which pathogens we have? There's lots of people here, so I won't ask for a million, but I know I had Borrelia, Bartonella, Babesia, Ehrlichia, and 5 species of Rickettsia. That is what they know about, right? Like, how does it address so many different pathogens? We'd all have a similar picture.
The the protocol that I ship out or I use with people covers if you get bit by a tick, imagine a grab bag. We got the little numbers folded up in there, and you reach in
Mm.
the top, and let's say that there's 22 possible co-infections that you can get from a tick bite. Not to mention there's a couple of strange ones that don't really apply to most areas and most people, so I won't really get into that. But the standard tick bite, there's a possibility that you could get up to 22 different co-infections. And it's like a grab bag. You reach in the jar and you
Yeah.
grab some of those numbers and pull them out, and what do you got? And the symptom picture you're going to get, of course, is going to be dependent on the co-infections that you've got. The protocol that I provide for people covers all 22 co-infections. It's broad spectrum. Um, there's a bug that we have here, or a situation that we end up with in Tennessee, and it's called alpha gal.
Yeah, I got that
and
here.
it gives you a red meat allergy, you know. So there's that one. It doesn't cover that. That's a separate project I'm working on. But the other one is Powassan. And Powassan it causes encephalitis. It's a virus that you get, from a tick bite. Causes extreme encephalitis and normally death. Your brain swells up so big and there's no medical answer for it. I have the homeopathic treatment for it, but if you go to the doctor or the hospital, most likely it's a death sentence if you get that. But
Mhm.
the standard 22 co-infections that you get, that you have down there, and that most people have, are covered. Rickettsia, the anaplasma,
Mm.
Borrelia, Babesia, Ehrlichia, the whole
Yeah,
list.
yeah,
Um, Telluremia. Now, I
yeah.
don't know if that's a factor, but that same guy that I was telling you that did the 6 months of antibiotics, well,
Mm.
he ended up he had telluremia. And when I gave him that remedy, he said it made his liver feel like it was on fire,
Mm.
you know. So that was a healing reaction. What homeopathy does for, so Lyme comes in and eventually it will almost turn your immune system down to zero. A normal CD57 blood analysis of your immune response is somewhere between 160 and 200. That's the range. My CD57 came back 35, and some of the Lymies I worked with were down in the 20s. So maybe operating with 10% of their immune system.
Mm.
Um, so the thing, what homeopathy does, and the homeopathic treatment that I provide, actually, some of the components are made of desiccated, um, infected Lyme ticks. So they take a whole batch of infected Lyme ticks that have all the different co-infections because of the huge number and for the areas that they gather them from, and they grind them up, and then they start a potentization process and a dilution process. So when you take a homeopathic pellet remedy that's made from this, there's not going to be a tick leg sticking out of it. Okay, it's like diluted 1,000 times. It's so when they go through the dilution potentization process, it dilutes the original substance, but the energetic imprint of whatever you put in there remains. And every time you dilute it, the energetic imprint actually gains in strength.
Yeah.
And the higher potency homeopathics are actually, the more diluted they are, the more powerful they are.
So
Most
is
things
there,
about homeopathy, go ahead.
okay, well, I was just gonna say, I'm thinking of all these pathogens in one. Is there a die-off process, a die-off or a Herx, or do you need to use um, protocols to, anybody give me the word? Um,
Well, yeah, there's a people have asked me that question about
like
detox.
detoxing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a factor. It's just a non-event. The days 3 through 5, I would say if there's any indication of something that might resemble a detox reaction, that might be it. But that's not really what's going on. What people are really experiencing days 3 through 5 out of the 7-day protocol is their bodies and their immune system getting into gear, and the homeopathic medicine gives a person's immune system the instruction: target this. It's like a wanted poster,
Mm.
target this. And then what it does is it gives your immune system the necessary support to actually go out and get the job done. So it overrides Lyme's ability to shut your immune system down. And your immune system is really what gets rid of the Lyme. It's not necessarily the homeopathy that does it. It's you. your body, your immune system that's doing the work, but it just needs a little stimulation, a little support of your vital force in that particular direction to get it done.
Mm. And if people are already on a treatment protocol, do you recommend that they stop that, or probably be
I
scary for people?
never,
Yeah.
I never interfere. If somebody's on a medical program, I don't suggest that they do anything. I don't give medical advice. I have to walk a line.
Mm.
I can't diagnose people and I can't prescribe pharmaceuticals, right?
Mm.
Um, so if I stay away from those kinds of things, then I can be a homeopath and not
Yeah.
run afoul, not be killed. Okay.
And what about people who are chemically sensitive or have all kinds of sensitive guts, allergies, etc.? What what do you dilute them? What's the dilution with? Is it saline or alcohol or?
Um, two of the formulations are the liquid ones are alcohol based, and the pellet variety are sucrose laced. They're sucrose sugar pellets laced with the homeopathic preparation. When it comes to sensitivities, that would I was there is nothing there's nothing really in a homeopathic remedy. It's not a chemical. It's not like a pharmaceutical that could generate a allergic response or any of those kinds of things. Homeopathy is really breaks down very simply. It's either going to do the job that you're taking it for or do nothing. There's almost no in between. If a person takes a homeopathic remedy that they don't need or they do need, and they take it and continue to take it over a long period of time, they can start to experience the symptoms that they had just gotten rid of. They call it approving.
Mm.
And you can actually what you're experiencing is symptoms from the remedy. If you That's why I tell people, once take this thing for 7 days. If you take it past the 7 days, then you could start experiencing the symptoms that the treatment will cause, even though it'll wear off, it wears off. It's not permanent, but it's unnecessary roughness. It's as soon as you go through days 3 through 5 and you're better. The rule with homeopathy is once you see that you're better, once you feel an improvement, you stop. That's kind of the way it is. You don't need any more. So that's the only cautionary note, I guess, is that if you do take a homeopathy and you take it, and it's a strong one, powerful one, you can start to experience the symptoms of the remedy, not what you were starting with, your own
Yeah.
symptoms.
And
But yeah, it's
got
probably the safest. I think it's the safest type of treatment I could think of.
and so after 7 days, then what happens?
After 7 days, the person knows they're better. They get their energy back. All of the things, for example, my cognitive issues when I was in the thick of this were such that I had to stop driving a car. Couldn't do that anymore because I almost plowed into the back of somebody because I was so disconnected from the world, that I didn't see that there was a car stopped in front of me. I couldn't have conversations with my wife anymore. Mid-sentence, I would just lose it. And um, the joint pain, uh, it, at the height of my Lyme deterioration, I was walking across my front yard, or limping across my front yard, I should say, and my internal dialogue said, "Chris, if this gets 1 degree worse, you can't walk anymore." Everything I was experiencing when I was infected with Lyme, once I did the homeopathic treatment, it all went away, and every impact that it had on me was completely gone in the space of about 2 weeks. So all my energy back, cognitive function back, everything. So it's not a life sentence, not permanent.
I can relate to the life sentence comment that doctor made because that's what I witnessed. There's a very small percentage that recover to functionality, and I it's not very often you hear people say I back to who I used to be. So I think that's not an unfair statement at all. Um, the process of, if somebody wanted to get started, I don't know if there's any other, but we can go back and forth with questions. But um, so just to be full disclosure, we're working to make sure there's not any problems in customs and getting them
Mhm.
sent over. So is there any kind they do they need protection to go through any shipment like EMFs or radiation or whatever temperature or
No,
cold or heat, they're not affected.
no, not temperature, not sensitive at all.
So they can travel
I don't even
in a
think they would
bag
freeze.
safely.
Yes, yeah. So that's not a problem. I'm going to take that step tomorrow and get a hold of the shipping company that specializes in um, shipping things into Australia and let them
Mm,
know what I'm interested in doing and see what they have to say. I might
okay.
just end up hiring them to take care of the transportation logistics. I don't know.
Yeah. So just so you know, the LDA's done some research, my colleague Marie, and she's done a lot of work with bringing things in from international for her Lyme journey. So she's best friends with customs. Not really. She knows their systems in and out. And there are the restrictions they taught we're having, like there's no limitations to homeopathics, but mainly you needed a professional company driven label, which is all qualified with Chris's stuff. So and I think some there's some caveats in some of the customs things, which um, she's concerned about. But Chris and I had a chat about that this morning, and he thought if we just tried a sample shipment and see how that would be. And I rarely get international parcels, so maybe we'll send it to me before I can send on to Marie internally in Australia, and there won't be issues sending that way. So, um, whereas Marie brings in a lot of international stuff, so she's on the front line of regulatory bodies there.
Yeah,
Um, Go ahead.
it looks like I think there's a very good chance we can get this stuff there, get it shipped in.
And shelf life for the product?
Um, this right here, shelf life of the product. This right here is a homeopathic a
I've seen them before.
homeopathic
Yeah.
doctors traveling homeopathy box from
Yeah.
the turn of the century, 1870 or 1880 or something like that.
Oh,
These would still work.
I'm serious.
Yeah. So
That's a
they
good shelf
last
life.
forever.
I think there are probably some circumstance that could harm them. Is there any at all?
The only thing I could think of might be extreme heat, sunlight, perhaps. Sunlight and extreme heat.
Mm.
Leave them on the dash of your car. Can't guarantee the result there. But
And there's a product called Desbio. Is there any similarities? Are you familiar with that one? Des
Des Bio, I've done a lot of work with that company. Yes, and they have a lot of really great products and a lot of products that target Lyme. What they do. I talked to them. In fact, I sent the VP of marketing one of my protocols, the complete kit with instructions and everything else. And my goal with them was so they've got different series symptom relief kits for Babesia, and then they've got them for Bartonella, and they've got Ehrlichia, and I said, why not just have one catch-all, a broad spectrum people Lyme removal kit? Boom, you just order it and it's done.
Mm.
And then if you need concentrational therapy for certain organisms for whatever reason that I can't imagine, but whatever reason, then they have those available too. But they didn't adopt it at that yet,
Yeah.
so we'll see. But
Yeah.
they have
Partnerships
it.
take time sometimes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And one of their products is one of the four components in the protocol.
Mm.
So I do use their stuff.
Yeah. This one of the people that are here today is saying that she's also been told not to leave the homeopathics near power outages or sources of power, power outlets, I should say.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that. I've never heard of that. There's a lot of one of the myths about homeopathics is coffee, for example. Coffee is supposed to be an antidote. If I'm going to take a homeopathic, I tap it in my coffee and have it in the morning, and it works just fine. you know. So some of that stuff just isn't true.
Yeah.
Now, stuff like camphor, I think camphor, I think can neutralize homeopathics. Some essential oils potentially, the really strong ones. Um, I've had some weird experiences with some of the diabetes medications like metformin. I think metformin interferes with homeopathics. I was working with a guy and I was helping him with some insulin, homeopathic insulin, and some other things. I wasn't getting any reaction from him, and I just wondered if it had to do with metformin interference.
Mm.
Untested, just a hunch, but you don't have
Another
to
question.
believe in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, I listen, science is all, I mean, science is about healthy debate, isn't it? And open discussion without rejecting of someone other's scientific opinion outright. Like I'm in a debate with um another person right now on tick removal. And, really there's multiple sources of research on that, and they're not all aligning yet. So we need to keep progressing to find where the commonalities are. And I think that's really an important element in research, no matter what you're talking about. And um, the other comment here is that is apis made inactive by lidum?
Some there are homeopathics that can antidote. There are homeopathics that antidote other homeopathics. I am not sure exactly. Um, I can't answer that question without taking a look in one of my
Yeah, no,
books,
that's okay.
but they do say that if you end up taking sometimes this homeopathic and you shouldn't be taking it and you're experiencing a reaction to it, take this one, it'll antidote it, it'll neutralize it.
Okay.
But I can't speak to those two specifically.
No, that's okay. Absolutely okay. And so the next plan then is I don't know if anybody wants to raise your hand or type in the chat if there's any other questions, but the next plan is to bring in a group of kits as a test. And it's $250 US for the kits, is that correct?
That's
And then
correct.
and then we'll work out what per kit the shipping comes down to if we do
Mhm.
10 kits at once. So that's what I haven't got approval. I haven't put this forward to the board, but I just think we'll be able to ship them out in Australia. Um, but again, what the LDA is about right now. The bottom lines is that there's no, unless you already have a Lyme doctor and you're already on their books, there's no medical pathway in Australia right now. And for we have a short pathway for people who are brand new tick bites. Some of the experienced doctors have agreed to open their books, but they can't open their books to long-term care, only acute care for an acute tick bite with symptoms or rashes or some kind of reaction. So therefore, it's our duty of care to find pathways to recovery for people. We've done several. So there's some, like we've done interviews with Dr. Bill Rawls, and he's got a system that's really focused in an integrative way, and it's very patient supportive. And now we're having a couple chats with Chris, and he's had a solution that's really worked for him, and he's happy to help us with that, getting access to it, and also coaching for patients that for whom it resonates for us. All of us know we don't resonate with the same healers or doctors or whatever your terminology is. So I think it's really important to have a few pathways that we can. I mean, I'm working with a Lyme patient right now who's very sick, is looking at assisted dying, and she's tried everything around the world to get treatment. And I think that we have absolutely a human right to be able to have a pathway. And I think that's our duty of care to help people find their pathway. And that's why we persist. So whether the government would celebrate on behalf of this education, I'm not sure. But I think I can't do the wrong thing. I have to do what's right for us. And we need more, we need more pathways. And I think, integrative pathways are the way of the future. I've had lots of antibiotics, including some IV and overseas treatment and ozone and all kinds of things. And the one thing that really helped me was saltancy a long, long, long time ago. And I felt so good after ozone, I stopped it. And I've never regretted stopping it because I've just slowly declined. And obviously, I'm very busy. So I don't have time to crash with treatment. Um, but I am working myself psychologically up, and people might relate to that, to push into treatment again for myself. So there's pathways I'm considering, but it'll be integrative. It'll be herbs, it'll be homeopathics. Um, I think that's a very valid and important pathway for Australian Lyme patients, global Lyme patients, but this is our audience and our community. Does anybody have any remaining comments or questions? You might have to unmute yourself. Eileen, I'll unmute you. So you'll see a message asked to unmute, and you'll have to click it yourself, Gay. There you go. Go ahead, Gay.
Oh,
You go.
hi. Hi, Sharon. Hello, Chris. I am familiar with homeopathy. I used it many, many years ago. My understanding of homeopathy is that it is very specific, the treatments, to specific individual needs and individual people. Like what would work for one may not work for someone else. And that's my concern is how can sort of one box of remedies, um, when we all have different, even though we all have the same shitty illness, we all don't have the same symptoms. Everybody's different. For me, my latest debacle is I've got vasculitis in my brain with multiple microbleeds, which they don't know what to do with me. And the list goes on. The list goes on. I'm now looking like I'm 90 to 100 years old and feeling like it. So it's, I just wonder how it can be how the box of remedies is streamlined to the masses of people that have many co-infections as well as Borrelia. Um,
That's a good
yeah, so
question, Gay. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a great question.
thank you.
That's a great question. Very insightful. Um, and I think the best answer for that is one of the um, things that I very often have to treat after someone's been through the Lyme protocol is some of the viruses. Specifically, one of the main ones is Epstein-Barr, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Now, Epstein-Barr, I can give a homeopathic for Epstein-Barr, which is made from the virus, right?
Yep.
I could give that to anybody that's got Epstein-Barr, and unless there's something really strange, they're going to recover from it. It'll work for everyone that tries it because
Okay.
it's the virus that they're afflicted with, and we're exposing them to what they have. And it's a little different than just treating the symptom picture with exactly the right remedy, which is the kind of the mainstay of homeopathy.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you take the the main therapeutic agent in the protocol are the co-infections of tick bites, right? So it's a little bit different twist on lining up symptoms exactly with the remedy picture, because you're just giving somebody, for example, here's another one. Around here we have poison oak and poison ivy. Well, anybody that gets poison oak and poison ivy, if I give them roost hawks, which is the remedy that's made out of that, right?
Mhm.
They'll all get over it. Now, if I'm working on a constitutional case with, going back early years of somebody's life and, treating them constitutionally, that's where what you're talking about is absolutely a must. It's very individualized, because we're not dealing with infectious agents or pathogens that infect everybody that's in the Lyme group. You know what I mean? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I'll just add to this, read the vasculitis and the multiple microbleeds. I was extremely fortunate last week, speaking to an infectious disease specialist that is very Lyme literate. And he has said to me, my take on what's going on in my brain is that it's Bartonella and it's weakening the endothelial, or whatever it's called, the linings of the blood vessels, and that's why I'm having all these microbleeds. It's seeping through the compromised small blood vessels. But he said to me that he's never seen anyone with Bartonella, and he's very experienced, that has the microbleeds like me.
Okay.
So why I'm saying that is that I have something different to what other people with Bartonella have. Do you
Okay.
understand? So if your
Yes.
your remedy is for Bartonella, well, I'm a little bit of a funny case, because would that affect my brain adversely? I mean, I don't know. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, your situation, there's an interesting. All right. So there's initial treatment. If I let's say that I was working with you
Yep.
personally.
Yep.
So the first thing I would do is get Lyme off the table. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just get that out of the way, because any other homeopathic symptom picture is going to be so obscured, it's worthless. So we got to clear the decks first. I gotta get Lyme out of the way, and then
Lyme,
see
Lyme and
what
friends,
pops up
right?
after. What's that?
Lyme and friends, like the masses of co-infections with it, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the important thing would be to get Lyme off the table first, and then with some people I have to do additional treatment for. And your situation would be probably one of those. And what you're experiencing most likely is there's a unique phenomenon in that Bartonella swaps and exchanges its DNA with another organism that's almost ubiquitous in all humans, called mycoplasma. And mycoplasma is normally associated with respiratory infection, pneumonia, right? Well, in the case of Lyme's with Bartonella, they do a DNA exchange, and mycoplasma it moves from being a respiratory kind of infectious agent into a totally different organism. And one of the things that it causes after that DNA exchange is vasculitis. Um, it's also a myelin scavenger. It becomes a myelin scavenger. So it'll go through your body and start eating the protective coating off your nerves. Um, so that's probably what you're dealing with, is that, yeah, your BART infection mixed with mycoplasma. And so in your case, I would get you over Lyme first, and then I would give you a treatment for mycoplasma.
Mm-hmm. So you would be providing for little bit complicated cases like me, aftercare. Is that what you're saying? It would be stages of how
Yes,
if I were to engage in this protocol, yeah, I would be ongoing with you until I felt healthy again. Is that correct?
that's the normal pathway. Now, most people take the protocol, and most people were healthy. They got Lyme disease, got sick. Once they get over Lyme, they go back to being healthy again. Um, Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it's they've had it long enough that Epstein-Barr has reemerged from dormancy and is now well established again. So they've got chronic mono, right? So I got to go in and treat that. Some people, the other one that pops up out of dormancy and afflicts people is herpes zoster.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that's ever had chicken pox,
Mm-hmm.
that shingles. So shingles pop up, all kinds of, attacks people's nerves. So it's not uncommon to have to go put those back into dormancy after the Lyme has been resolved. Sometimes they just do it on their own. Your immune system recovers and, gets rid of those things. But sometimes a little help doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for that, Guy.
You're welcome. Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah, thanks, Kay. Eileen, did you have one? You just have to help. I'll give you a message to unmute. Should bring up a little message to you there. Got Richard, the boss. Yeah, we can't hear you yet, Eileen. Richard, can you see where the mute is? It's the mute button.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
Good work. Good work.
It's the same voice, brain, everything's not in a good space today. But what I'm wondering is from what we're in, it sounds fantastic. For me, I've had Lyme for 20 years. I'm 80 years of age. If I can get any relief for what years I have, I would be forever grateful. So from where we are now, where do we go in the sense of being able to get the protocol and start? I understand, like afterwards, if you find we've got extra issues, can we go back and discuss by maybe Zoom or something to see what might be needed to, finish off? Not knowing how you're going to end up after the first treatment. If it was ideal and you're all good to go, that would be fantastic. I'm guessing that in my case, I always seem to get something. I'm quite sensitive. But yeah, from where we are now, what do we have to go through to make it possible to actually start? And what would our connection be back with, is it Chris?
Chris.
Yes.
Yeah, Chris. To get back to Chris, maybe communicate with him. Like I'd be happy to do the whole first protocol. It seems easy after what we've done. And then maybe to discuss outcomes after that week or two or whatever, and then sort of assess what might be needed. Maybe,
I mean, I know Chris is, I'll just jump in here. Chris is available by email. So he's connected with some people that are starting, but obviously it's going to depend on the numbers and the load of that. But also, I'd like to suggest here, because this is possibly a good sounding board, is that we should either create a Facebook group for questions and team like supportive people, and or a WhatsApp thread or something where you can jump in and say, hey, I've got this question or whatever. And then people can learn as other people can learn. So it takes some load off. But that's just an idea. I think it's
that's
probably
awesome. That'd be fantastic. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, do you prefer that it would be in Lyme Connect, which is on Facebook? We could set up a particular thread or WhatsApp or a new Facebook group.
Either way,
Well,
just as long as the connection. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna leave that to your discretion. Because I know that what we want to do is get this treatment down there and not attract a lot of attention. So what's the best way to do that? Is it the ILADS, your Australian site, or maybe a special group? I'm going to leave that up
Yeah.
to you. I don't know, but I think we want to kind of fly under the radar.
Yeah. So
And
ship to me and it'll be I'm a little less, I'm not well known in the shipping world. And then we'll set up maybe we even do a talking thread in Lyme Connect and decide get a consensus to see what most people, but I wouldn't really mind. I can run a WhatsApp thread and a little post in Lyme Connect. We can put a picture on it so people can find it and ask questions there. And you can always email Chris or email me and I'll ask Chris. Whatever happens, happens.
yeah,
Yeah, you'll have to unmute again. Are you there?
I kind of like the idea of a Facebook group that's dedicated to this, what we're talking about in this treatment, and
Okay.
just have, because that way it'll be kind of an echo chamber with the people that are
You'll
actually involved in the protocol, and the
Yeah,
information
that's
will
how
fly
people
back
learn.
and forth.
That's how I learn anyway. I just go in groups and search and see what other
Uh-huh.
people's experiences.
Yeah.
Brian, you look like you've got a question. You have a question?
To me,
No, Brian, he's looking
yeah.
great.
Oh no, I asked the questions in the comments. Thanks
Yeah,
for your time,
that's all right.
Sharon. Obviously,
Nice
the
to see
work you
you.
do, and thanks, Chris, for providing something for us. But no, I asked the questions in the comments.
Yeah.
Obviously, the only thing I sort of supporting supplements and treatments, i.e., peptides and everything, I assume couldn't hurt anything to support your immune system to help kickstart it when you're trying a homeopathy treatment.
Nothing's ever been required to, either on the front end for immune support stimulation or even on the back end for detox. It's kind of strange, but I've never seen it necessary.
Well, it's like that just seems like wow. There's been no protocol or treatment that I've tried that I haven't hurts terribly. Yeah, you got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and away you go again. This just sounds so much easier.
Yes. I was talking to a naturopath friend of mine that uses my protocol also on the West Coast of the US. And I was asking him, I go, well, why isn't everybody clamoring to do this protocol? He goes, because it just works, it just works flawless, and he goes, Chris, it's not sexy enough. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, it's, you don't have to put an IV port in. It doesn't hurt. It's not expensive. It doesn't take forever. It's not some long string of pharmaceutical chemical name that, gets everybody excited. It's just not sexy. I mean, I go, okay, I get it.
And it's hard to believe, right? Because we have a whole community who have been in a health situation, no matter what country you're in, to have to do a lot of self-research. When you do that, what you see is train wrecks everywhere, right? So to believe something less than that is a challenge for people. And as exciting as it is, and as welcomed as it is, it makes sense to get that layer out. And then, I know, I've said to Kristen, some of our catching up in these 2 times is, I was sick from birth, right? So it's not just going to be the Lyme layer that I'll be working on, but I don't expect it to either, right? If I got the Lyme layer lessened out of my current battle, my quality of life would change untold. Even if I'd still had other health things to work on, that's not, I would manage my expectations that way, but we're all different. And significant benefit and improvement would be a miracle for me.
Same, same.
Yeah, I was telling Sharon a story in the early days. I was new to Lyme and fairly novice in homeopathy. And I lived out in the woods, and forest fires were a constant danger in dry weather. And so I had opened up my place to some firewood cutting, which accomplished moving the trees back from my house. And, some friends of mine got firewood that they needed to heat their house. So it was win-win for everybody. And I was just starting to treat myself homeopathically with Lyme, and I went down to help a friend of mine with cutting firewood. So he had a trailer on his truck, and I went down and I grabbed some cut up chunks of firewood and I started pitching them into the back of the trailer. And after about 6 pieces of wood, I was whipped. That's all I had. So I retreated to my couch. Well, that evening, I got up and I did some more research and I isolated a homeopathic remedy that really looked promising. I put the pellets under my tongue and I felt an energetic wave start at the top of my head and move down to my feet. And it was an amazing sensation. That's all I can say. Well, the next day, my buddy that I tried to help the day before came back again to resume work, but he was in a different phase of cutting. Instead of cutting trees into firewood chunks, he was actually cutting trees down and then cutting the limbs off. So I went down there and started helping him, and I spent the entire next day dragging trees up the hillside, up a hillside. So I went from one day not able to pitch about 6 pieces of wood to dragging trees up a hillside all day. The recovery was so quick, it was that profound.
Mm.
Um,
Gabe, go
and
ahead. Oh, Gabe's got a
yeah,
question.
Yes, thank you so much, Sharon. Chris, just one more question. Do I understand this correctly that if undertaking your protocol, that you are saying that there's no need to take the supplements that I think most people live and breathe when you have this condition? Like I take zinc, I take so many things, fish oils, D3K, all these things, you know, that I'm lacking. And in my mindset, I'm trying to limit my inflammation in my body. I'm just doing what I can from supplement world. Are you saying to me that that's not necessary?
well, I take zinc almost every day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just as immune support.
Yep.
So I think any of those supplements that you're taking have stand on their own,
Good.
regardless of Lyme or not.
Mm. Yep.
Now, one of the situations I ran into is when I was in the thick of Lyme, I experienced basically a hormone crash. So I got my hormones tested, and my testosterone, my thyroid, my DHEA, all of those things were in the tank. Very, very low levels. So the LLMD that I was working with put me on supplements for all those. Put me on a thyroid, put me on testosterone supplement, DHEA, all that stuff. Basically, I shored up all my hormone levels. I did the homeopathic treatment, and I noticed that I was getting like irritable and stuff like that, and it was time for me to go back and do a level blood work, right? And I did my lab work, and all my hormones were off the chart high. So my endocrine system had completely recovered while I was still supplementing with these hormones, and I just needed to quit.
Yep.
I was overdoing it.
Yep. Okay.
And there's also a difference in supplementing in what's our food is nutritionally deficient now, right? You can't eat enough food to get all the nutrients that we need.
That's
You can
right.
and not everybody can eat organic, and not everybody can get, food that's been looked after properly and not stored and not shipped and all that, all the things, all the factors that we all know about. So yes, a nutritional support system, and we'll all be genetically different. I think we'll still need to we need to be positive in maintaining our health. We need to contribute and not passive. We need to be active in maintaining our health, even after we, remove a few labels, hopefully. Diagnostic labels, I mean.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think that, that just goes without saying, try to eat the best you can and, the pillars of health, get good night's sleep, clean water, clean air, good environment, nutrition. Yeah, it's definitely,
Yeah.
maintain that too. But it's not going to, anything that you do that supports your immune system or, like zinc or the various other supplements that you can take is not going to hurt you a bit. But I guess what I'm really saying is it isn't necessary. It's not going to hurt a bit. So it could only help, but it's not necessary.
Thank you.
Is there any remaining questions? No.
I go back to the same thing. Where do we go from here and how soon?
Well, both Marie and Chris are working on the customs thing. I was saying, Marie, when you weren't here, I was thinking Chris is just going to wing it and test one because they're all labeled with proper labels and stuff. Like, remember one of the criteria you said for customs? So he could send, like, I never get international shipments here, so I'll be under the radar. I won't be flagged. So we can just send a trial one here, and then you and I can work out the distribution after that.
Sure.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is maybe ship about 10 of them down there, 10 Lyme removal kits, and get them down there and have you guys all do the protocol, take it for a test drive.
Ooh,
and and if it does what I'm very confident it will do, then we can I want this to go global. I really think, based on the complexities of Lyme and the evasive ability that it has, it's going to take something out of the box to deal with this epidemic. I'm convinced of that. That it's not going to be some magic, the next antibiotic. People are so wrapped around the axle about antibiotics, and I keep telling people half of the 22 possible co-infections from a tick bite are not bacteria, folks. Could that be a problem?
Yeah, absolutely. And most of them aren't testable, right? So you get a negative test. It's a clinical picture that's important. And like everybody said, if a layer of illness and impact on our bodies was removed, that would be incredibly beneficial. And to then have the benefit of looking at what homeopathics would support further improvements with other issues, either previous to or because of tick-borne diseases being so chronic, that would still be, a positive outcome. We're looking for positive pathways, options, as opposed to the closed doors we've got right now. So, anyway, I'm excited and proud and grateful to be able to offer this as a pathway for whomever it feels right for.
Thank you, Sharon.
So if you're interested in this, email us either info@ or Sharon.Whiteman, or message me on Messenger. We'll make up a list and then we'll go as soon as we know we've white lighted the package and it's been in the mail. We'll let you know. And we'll also give you an idea of costing too.
Yeah, I've purchased numerous times from India and the US from Rawls, and never had a problem ever.
I just needed to flag to Chris that it does happen, because it certainly happened to me, that I've lost, and also people I know who, I think Karen also, have lost hundreds of dollars because they
I know
just
lots of people that have
confiscated
lost.
Yeah. So it is a risk.
I recently started working with somebody up in Canada and I sent I sent him a Lyme removal kit, and I got a message back from UPS saying, the box, the contents were missing. They threw the box away. So I shipped another one, and the second one actually arrived, and three of the components were still there, and one of them was missing. But fortunately, the one that was missing is one that they could still order on Amazon.
Oh, good.
So at least he's going to be able to complete the protocol. But what a hassle, just trying to get stuff sent.
They don't even confiscate anymore. They just lie. It was missing. Oh, oops.
Yeah, and what I don't want to do is get in a situation where I say it's one thing, you open it, it's something else. I'd rather be on the up and up with this. And but what I'm going to do, my commitment to everybody that's watching this is that I'm gonna fast track this. I'm not gonna sit back, and I've got a company that specializes in shipping difficult items into Australia, and I'm going to contact them first thing tomorrow morning, and send them pictures and ingredient lists or whatever they need. And I'm going to send them, this is my protocol. What are the concerns? Is this okay?
Yeah.
And I'll just let everybody know, but I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to really, really put this on a fast track and see if we can't get this down there to you guys.
Thank you, Chris.
So do we need to fund the, say, 10 kits that we're going to try and get down in here? Can we commit to that now, or do we wait till we get here and it gets here and then we distribute and purchase that way?
I'm going to defer to Sharon on how we do that, how we put that together.
Yeah.
I think and I've got to check with the postal manager here, because here's the question I have is that if I can insure this package for what it's worth, including shipping, she said I can insure up to $10,000.
Yeah.
So the amount's fine, but my concern is that if it gets intercepted by customs,
yeah, I don't think
have fine print. Do they have fine print in their insurance coverage language that says I'm not going to get, I don't have coverage because of that? So I have more digging to do, but we'll just figure out how to get it down there, and
we'll come back to you with that.
We'll make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to set up payment pathways, and
that's what I was interested in. Inside now I'm thinking, oh darn, if we can't work it this way, I'll go over there. I'm married.
Go for a trip.
Yeah, I'm married to an American. He's still got his passport. We never got rid of it because we said you never know.
That's right.
We've kept
it could be just for this, Eileen.
I know. Providence made us wait. We still got it.
Us Lyme patients.
One because I'm married to him, so there you go.
He has to take you.
Yeah.
That's a resourceful Lyme patient. There we go. I knew we needed that passport.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard.
All I can say is that if we can get through the shipping hurdles, help is on the way.
Oh, that's fantastic! Like, that's super. And obviously, if there's going to be any level of positive from it, from the people who are here, I would say it'll take off like wildfire. If
any level.
Absolutely.
Doesn't have to be 100%.
No. I mean, I would be happy with 50%. Be grateful for, instead of feeling like you're going down. And that's because I'm not treating really.
I can, it's funny, all the for working with Lymies for a lot of years, I can pretty much look at someone. I can look at someone and tell if they have Lyme disease.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got it pretty bad, Eileen.
I know.
I can tell.
Thanks, Chris. That's all you have to say. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. And
I can see it. I can see it in your
really
face.
Nice. it's really,
Yeah.
really nice to have someone with that incredible level of insight to be able to pick that. The usual is I'm trying to bash down barriers between myself, friends, or family to say, please understand, just because I just want to continue normally, but it has been a hell battle for a lot of years. Hell battle. And one, I am super sensitive, so I would start protocols, and within no time, I was just out, and the herxing, and I couldn't. I would hear other Limeys saying, feeling better, whatever. I just seem to have had a slow progression down for 20 years. I just haven't got to the core of things, whatever. So, let's say I'm optimistic and I would love to give this a try. And if I got some improvement, I would be forever grateful. Yeah.
Well,
Thanks.
You're not going to be disappointed.
Thank you.
There's one other thing I should mention. Let me go grab this. If you guys don't mind. Hold on just a second. Let me go grab
Talking
this.
amongst ourselves. Yeah, we should do a scan of every video they do for who has asymmetrical. My doctor says to me, I can tell you got Lyme.
Yeah.
See, Marie.
So there's this.
Yep.
This is one of the components of the protocol.
Yeah.
And it is it's also made out of, it's a no-sode kind of formula. So it's made out of desiccated infected Lyme ticks. And it's different than the liquid one that comes with this. But the nice thing about this is once someone gets a bottle of this in their protocol, if you ever get bit by a tick again, or a family member gets bit by a tick, or friends or whatever, anybody you know, if they take this homeopathic after it, instead of going down and doing 30 days of doxycycline, they just take this for a few days, it will prevent them from getting infected by any of the Lyme and its co-infections going forward.
So you're telling us that you're sending tick bite first aid jars too, are you?
Yeah. So once someone gets one of the kits, this is one of the components, and it's a good. Anytime you get it, I've had to go back and retreat people that have been subsequently bitten again by infected ticks. When I treated myself and got over it, I was hoping that maybe I had developed, now that I got over it, maybe I have an immunity. And I found out that's not true. You don't get an immunity. I was disappointed, but oh well. But it's the people that have gotten reinfected just simply did the protocol again, and in 7 days they were back to life as normal.
So there's a little bit left after the 7 days, is there?
Yeah. So people will end up with plenty of this, to protect them from any future exposure to tick bites.
Yeah, there's people. It's true. Like sometimes you have to remove yourself from your whole life to avoid ticks, and it's not possible. So there's people that even knowing the dangers can't avoid them sometimes.
Well, there's a lot about ticks, but one of the issues, I ended up spending quite a bit of time with a biologist and talking about ticks and stuff, and they have 2 life stages, and one is their larval stage, and if you took a ballpoint pen and you touch it on a piece of paper, that little dot is all the bigger they are. They're not microscopic, but they're very, very tiny. And the biologist explained to me that those ticks are typically more infectious than the adults.
Wow.
And the problem with them is that they'll go up into your hairline or something like that. You won't even know. A lot of people, I've heard a lot of feedback from people saying, I've got Lyme now, but I don't ever remember getting bit by a tick. Well, these little larva ticks just come in. They don't attach. long term, and they don't engorge. They just come in, they bite, they feed a little bit, they drop off. And this is usually like springtime is when they emerge. And then in the fall, they develop into adult size, and that's when they'll attach to someone and then get engorged, and with the idea that they're going to lay eggs, right? So there's 2 life stages, and one of them, if you encounter those, you probably won't even know it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, the current research is saying 60 to 90% of people who are diagnosed with Lyme do not remember a tick bite. So that's like one study says 60, there's studies that say up to 90%. So, really I don't know if everybody knows that we've got a new tick-borne disease patient survey, but we'd really love everybody to complete if you don't mind. And we included that in there. So it's hard to have a tick-borne disease survey and have the exclusion criteria not including a tick bite. So you don't have to have remembered a tick bite to be able to do this survey. And that's the reason why, is because the majority don't remember and they still are diagnosed, and they need the help most, right? Because they don't even have a clue. They don't have a flag that's waving to say, look at this first.
And there's one more interesting aspect to Lyme, is that there was a lot of debate for years about whether Lyme was an STD or not. As far as I can tell, the debate's settled. It is.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So a lot of the spread, of Lyme disease today is probably more on a lot of that's probably the STD factor.
Yeah, sexually transmitted,
I would say. And but I think within that context, you're not going to get a lot of the co-infections. You're probably just going to get more of the Borrelia, which is, in Oregon, we called it deer syphilis, because that's really what it was. Spirochete, just like syphilis. So I think that's what can pass. You're probably not going to pass some of the other co-infections on to a partner, but I could see the Borrelia making the jump.
Yeah. Well, very resourceful couple of hours or an hour and a half to spend together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I don't say, oh, okay, I'm going to get these pills, I'm going to take them, and I'm going to fully recover. It just gives me hope, and I really am willing to go with that. My husband's sitting here. I don't think he can't get it to happen quick enough. Yeah.
Did you buy this plane ticket on his phone there while I was waiting?
Well, I won't waste any time. I will get on this, we'll get this done quickly and get this stuff down to you guys.
Yeah. And we're going to have a Facebook page, right?
Yeah, I'll send it out today.
Yeah, good one. Oh, Ace, thank you so much.
What name do you want? I'll just mute you until you're ready to talk, Mandy. It's got a noise background. Go ahead, Eileen.
I haven't thought of a name.
Yeah, so first, go ahead and send me your ideas, you creative people.
Okay, homeopathy something.
Okay.
Can we have Lyme?
Escape.
Escape from a Turkish prison?
Yeah.
Something secret. That's good.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just going to unmute Mandy because she wants to say something, but she's got a bit of background noise there. Unmute now, Mandy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much. Yeah, I've been on the homeopathic journey probably 10 years now, but hadn't found the Lyme ones in Australia. So other than from the vet, which I just got very recently, but no, that's awesome. Really, really awesome, because I know how effective the homeopathics have been in other areas with other support the rest of my body. Thanks.
Thanks, Mandy.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Chris. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
You all know where I am.
Nice to meet everybody, and look forward to talking with you more and following you through this journey here that we've started.
Thank you.
Let's do this.
Thank you. Exactly. Let's do this. That's a good group. See you guys.
Let's get over it.
Yeah, let's get over it.
Without
can't we just get over it?
the attitude of our government and the history of Lyme in Australia is very, very bad, very bad. And everything has been hard work, a battle, just dreadful. And it can't get much worse. That's the situation we're in. And this just says, you know, there is something else. You can't say, yep, 100%, you know, going to work. You've done that many times and you've got bits and pieces along the way. But I think I've lived in the last few years, my hope has just diminished a lot. And it's more just saying, well, okay, this is it. Make the most of it, count your blessings. But this, I feel good. Like I feel in my gut, it just feels like it's a real thing worth trying. So you can count me in however it's done, you know.
Thank you, Eileen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
thank you, Chris.
I mentioned the book. You know, I mentioned the book that book, the Homeopathic Treatment of Lyme Disease. I mean, this what I'm doing is not necessarily new. I mean, there's been people using homeopathy to treat Lyme for years and years. I think the only thing that I really focused on is how to make it quick, simple, and easy, you know, for people. Just and something that's broad spectrum and works for everybody.
Should we get that book? Should we each? It would be helpful if we all get that book.
It's kind of like an encyclopedia, isn't it? It's like a.
What I can do. Why don't I do this, Sharon? I can attach that. I can attach that to an email and send that to you, and you could
we'll put it in the group.
Post it on your website there.
Yeah, great.
That work?
Great.
Oh, is it public is it okay to post publicly?
Sure.
Yep. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, everybody.
Yep.
Chris, thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
To be continued.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. You'll hear
Have
from
a good
us.
night, everybody, or good morning.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.